Last episode, we were approaching the end of things thinking that Graham Byrne was going to be leaving for £60 million. He turned down the move to Freiburg. Despite that, though, we've got a whole load of players possibly leaving the club. In fact, there are more to sell as well. And right now, my first team sits at a measly 21 players. Last episode, I didn't really sign anyone. We need to resolve that today. Of course, the one player we did sign was Alejandro Minabres, which I'm going to be honest, it's just one of the sexiest names in world football, isn't it? Look, the 26-year-old is an absolutely top quality keeper. It was my big wish for this summer, so tick that off. But as you guys already know, we've got Champions League football this season. A squad of 21 is simply put not gonna cut it. I need to add some bodies. In terms of what is on my wish list, I could do with a player who can be the third choice at right mid and left mid. At the moment, I've basically got Garcia Ruiz on the right, Sassi and Bordalas on the left, and if there was injuries, whilst there's makeshift options here, there's not an obvious name. In terms of the rest of the team, if Byrne is leaving for £60 million, there is definitely a temptation, of course, to go out and sign a massive striker, if there is one willing to join us. Because yes, whilst it is true we've got Champions League football this year, we finished third in the Premier League last year, in terms of our reputation, we're still kind of playing catch-up a little bit. We're not rock bottom in the Premier League anymore. This definitely hinders our ability to attract in talent. But you know what? Before we play our first game of the season tomorrow against Man City in the Community Shield, I need to make signings. I've got less than a month to get things sorted. Now, first things first, Graham Byrne, I am going to, ask his agent about market interest, see if I can get a bid coming in. Doesn't look like I'm going to be able to. I can't remember when I finished recording last episode if I offered him out again or not. I don't have the option to offer him out again. I'm just going to hope that one of the many teams that's interested in him, of which apparently it's only Al Nassr who are interested in him, if they could cough up the cash, that would be really nice. As things stand as well, we're currently over the wage budget, which is a bit of a problem. Of course, that has come about because loads of players who were out on loan last year have come back. I probably do need to jig the wage budget up a smidge anyway. So I'm going to rejig the budgets just so we're not over budget. And, well, I think to start things, it's maybe worth looking at free transfers because we've not got a load of money to spend right now. I'll tell you what, Stefan Bajcetic is here. He's got a couple of offers on him from Celtic and Bournemouth. If I was looking for a little bit of depth in the centre mid area and a bit of experience as well, the 30-year-old wouldn't be the worst option in the world. He's actually very, very good. I suppose the problem with many players like this is wage demands can be a little on the larger side. Yeah, he wants £57,000 to £70,000 a week, which is not cheap. I have asked for him to lower them and he's agreed to that. He wants to be a regular first-team player as well. He's just not going to be in our team. Of all the players who are free agents, he is rated the best by our scouts, but you can see him here compared directly against Ryu. I just don't really think he's an upgrade. Now, I did mention that need to get someone who could play on the left and right-hand side. Jan Vigili is available, of course, a wonder kid this year in Football Manager. The 28-year-old in this universe has stuck it out with Mallorca for the entire save, which I kind of respect, but at the same time, it's probably hindered his development. He's not the best from a defensive point of view, but to be fair, you know what? He's got like 10 marking at 8 positioning. It's not completely useless. He can play both sides as well, and he is available as a free transfer. £78,000 to £96,000 a week is probably why he is still a free agent right now, and the Saudi teams are circling him. Just as a little reminder, when it comes to our wage structure, Alejandro, the new signing, is our top earner on £75,000 a week as a number one goalie. Cardozo, who of course we've got the whole saga where he wants to leave to go to Saudi Arabia, he is the second highest earner on £65,000. There is then a big drop off, but being realistic, for squad players, really don't want to be paying more than probably £45,000 a week. I mean, Phil Foden is a free agent, but look at those physicals. Oh my word, get the Zimmer frame out. In terms of free agents rated highly by my scouts, there's not actually that many. Although, Luis Garcia, I looked at this guy last summer, didn't I? He's the Chelsea man who can play right mid and right wing back. And I kind of thought he'd be useful back then. He could still be kind of useful. I looked at him to be our squad player option. He is kind of happy to be a backup. Release clause I don't love. Can I ask him to not leave that boxed in? Okay, the release clause probably needs to be locked in, although maybe it's just the relegation release clause. I mean, he can't play on the left-hand side, but we could train him to do that, and he is just 23 years old. He is a really, really good little player out in the wide area. Wants to be a squad player. Can I lower it to impact sub? I can. in terms of what he's asking for, £40,000 is not unreasonable at all. Don't like the yearly wage rise or the minimum release clause, but you know what? I feel confident we're not going to get relegated at this point, so we'll knock down the relegation release clause slightly. He asked for an appearance fee of £20,000 a week. I'm going to up this a little. I don't think he's going to make a load of appearances for us, so it's not the worst idea in the world. Suggested terms, he's asked for £50,000. I'm going to play a bit of hardball here. £42,000. There we go. Okay, if Garcia signs, I think for a squad player, that would be a very good pickup. It's weird, right? And I don't know where else to show this. So I've come to Victor's profile to show it. But on the left-hand side, in terms of left mids, we've got Sassy, Bouabré, then we've got Victor and Bordalas, who can all play on the left. Whereas if we look at right midfielder options, the depth there is significantly less with just Ruiz and Garcia. So if I can't find someone who's going to play both sides, Luis Garcia, who can play on the right, would be a great pickup. I feel like that could be my one sensible transfer of the window done. I realise I've only really looked at players who are already scouted in with free agents. If we just sort by world rep, there's a few more here, but it's lots of players on the older side of things. Which, look, I'm not ageist, but I just think older players who have probably been playing at a higher European level and are now looking for a minor drop down, they're probably going to want rather large wages that we can't afford. Okay, I have had a little look through some more of these free agents. Maybe a little ambitious, expecting me to able to find useful free transfers who are Champions League level, really. But you know what? Garcia, definitely a priority. As I suppose at this point, he's just confirming some of these transfers. Of course, there's loads of these under-21 players we've offered out, and they're all pending. A couple of these players did turn down moves, didn't they, last episode? So, yeah, I'll hope the rest of these that are still pending do actually go through. Speaking of which, Nathan Morrissey was one of the absolute buggers. I won't say another word that begins with B that could be a little more vulgar, but he's one of the little buggers who turned down a move to Norwich, didn't he? Or to Swansea, I think it was actually. We'll offer him out again and see if there's any interest, because I want to get some money back for him, really. Okay, Tyreek Ane-Nzukwe, who, I'm going to be honest, I feel like his face doesn't suit his name, but who am I to judge? He is leaving the building. We snapped him up for £425,000 and never really played for us at various loanings out. And yet we're flipping him on for £3 million profit. I'm pretty happy about this one. And in and amongst the various players who are going out on permanent deals, Stamenkovic is a player who I've got high hopes for the future. One of the big earners at the club, really, for his age, the 19-year-old, of course. As a reminder, we offered him these massive wages because Man City and PSG wanted him. I feel like he could be a great little striker. He's going to go to Stoke and find himself. No one's ever gone to Stoke and found themselves before, you know. Normally you go to kind of the Nepalese mountains for enlightenment. We're sending Branko to Stoke to become a good striker. Okay, we've got 3 offers on players. I don't think any of these offers on players that I necessarily want to get rid of permanently, although Bendel, a loan to Sheffield United, that might make sense. Bendel is a player who I'm almost not ready to give up on yet. He has a valuation of 13 million. We agreed that that would be a fee that I'd sell him for if the interest was there. I do feel like the centre mid is good. I just don't know if he's going to fulfil his potential and ever be good enough for us. But you know what? One last shot for him to develop on loan in the Championship seems like a smart idea. Elsewhere, West Ham have made an offer for Ortiz. Now, I already accepted an offer for Ortiz of £7.5 million guaranteed. This West Ham bid is, I think, just a guaranteed 2.5 million? 2.6 million. It could rise a lot higher. I don't think it will. Bayern Munich have made a bid for Jimenez. These offers for Jimenez are getting bigger and bigger, but he is homegrown at club, the centre-back. He is such a valuable player for us. I really don't want to lose him. Like, he has come on leaps and bounds. He's been at the club 3 years now. It's kind of easy to forget that. He's only 21. Don't feel like selling him is a good idea. He's also got plenty of time left on his current contract. It's one of those ones where if he wasn't homegrown at club, maybe this kind of money would be a little more tempting. But yeah, homegrown status is something money cannot buy. Crystal Palace have made an offer for Byrne. It's only £34 million. As a reminder, Freiburg bid 60. I mean, 34 is still very good money all up front. I'm going to assume that Crystal Palace probably don't have the spending power of Freiburg, but as a starting point, I'm going to ask for 55 million with kind of this 20 million as an additional clause. They've just agreed to it. Why do Crystal Palace have 55 million? You know what? Let's not ask questions. That is a very good deal. It's only in one instalment as well, this monthly instalment. If I have the option, I'll probably just mortgage it to get all the money up front anyway. But very happy about this. Hopefully now he actually wants to go to South London. Otherwise, we're going to be in a really awkward predicament yet again. Don't get me wrong, Bernie's a good little player, but we signed him on a free transfer. Only 7 goals in 24, largely came on off the bench as well. Flipping him on for 55 million in, 12 months? That'd be bloody good business. There is now part of me that wants to preemptively start spending that money that I think we're going to get. We get 100% of our transfer revenue back. So even if we just get that initial upfront money, we're going to have close to £60 million. I'm looking at all the players we've got scouted here sort of by value and just thinking, who's going to be worth the dollar? Christopher Cupps is a man I'm very intrigued about. This man has been stuck in the Championship. He went on loan to Saudi Arabia for 6 months. They decided not to buy him. I assume there was an option to buy him, so he's back at Sunderland now. I mean, how much do they want for him? 21 to 26 million pounds. His wage demands would make him one of the highest earners at the club. But for 20 million, you're getting a pretty incredible defender. I suppose the issue with Cupps, if there is to be one, is his lack of pace and his physicals not being the best. He's only just turned 27, mind you. But yeah, 13 acceleration, 12 pace could be problematic. At the same time, when you compare him to someone like Oliver, who played as our centre defender last year, Cupps is a massive, massive upgrade across the technicals and mentals department. I feel like the pace matters way more in the wider centre-backs, kind of the left centre-back and right centre-backs. Maybe Cupps in the middle is a play. I think for £21 million, it's pretty incredible value if this is indeed the kind of price it's going to cost us. Which, it might be a little bit more. I think we're at a point in this save game now where I'm better off spending kind of money on 1 or 2 bits of real quality as opposed to what I had been doing previously, which was kind of lots of punts on younger players, hoping 1 or 2 of them would develop. Of course, the whole mindset with that was, if a couple of them develop and break into the first team, amazing. If they don't develop, hopefully we can still make money off them. I don't feel like I have to sell players to make money right now, especially with all the Champions League money that will be coming. So 25.5 for Christopher Cupps, I think is probably quite good business. Definitely have reservations about his physicals, but there is a lot to like elsewhere about this man. And I know we have lots of American viewers, and also we are that far into a save game. It's rare to see kind of real players who actually could be real upgrades for us. Cupps is definitely worth a punt, I think. He's got resolute personality, 18 leadership as well. You know, if Aguiar is dropping out the first team and no longer going to be vice-captain, I think Christopher Cupps would be a pretty good plan B. He only wants to be a squad player, which is a little bit puzzling, but I'm not going to argue with it. He wants a minimum release clause. I'm going to remove and exclude that. A little bit concerningly, he's immediately asking for £90,000 a week. That's not what we agreed to, Christopher. Now, immediately, because I've removed and excluded the release clause, I'm on the back foot here. He's going to want more money than what he's already asking for. So to try and compensate for the fact I also want to lower the wages, I'm going to try increasing the loyalty bonus slightly, and then I guess I'll try and get him matched on the highest earner at £75,000. He's come back asking for £115,000. We are a long way apart here, Christopher. I'll offer to give his agent a little bit more money. I'll increase the unused sub fee as well. I don't think he's going to be an unused sub for us. We'll also lower the relegation release clause. And you know what? This might be silly. I'm going to give him a big goal and assist bonus. We'll put it at £24,000 for each, just as a starting point. Given the fact he's a centre-back, I'd like to think he doesn't trigger those too often. I suggested that. He's come back asking for £105,000. I'll go up to 80. I don't think he's going to take 80 if I'm being real with you, but I just feel like any more than this, it's just not worth it, I'm afraid to say. So we'll suggest, I'm expecting him to say no here. And you know what? Maybe that is just a bullet dodged. Obviously, our current back four is Gromman, Oliver and Gwashi. And Gwashi had kind of hot and cold moments of the year just gone, to the point where I definitely can move on and Gwashi, or at least have him and Oliver compete for that right centre-back position. I do wonder if just trying to find a top quality centre-back is the order of the day. I'm a little bit concerned that to find a top quality centre-back good enough to walk into our team, the wage budget might not cover it, because I do feel like Cupps was a pretty good option in that part of the pitch. There's a few older players here, but I'm looking at Ange and he's just not actually that good. Is that a controversial take? He's good, he's not great. Villads Nielsen plays for Bodo Glimt. I mean, he is quite a complete centre-back, but he just doesn't quite have that quality. Remy de Verst. He's not the worst, he might be the best. This guy's £32 million, plays for Club Brugge. He has 18 jumping reach. He's a fun, tall centre-back. Unfortunately, Not sure he's got the technical ability to play our system. I mean, actually, there is one player here with an A+ for the recommendation, which is Jurjan Fidge, which is probably not said Fidge. He's a Dutch player. I'm going to be honest, with 7 jumping reach, I would never play him at centre-back. But actually, he's got some crazy physicals, quite nice speed, and he can play defensive mid and maybe centre mid. He has not really been given any opportunities whatsoever at Liverpool, which I have to imagine has absolutely killed his development. In fact, if we look at things here, leading Premier League potential. Issue is, doesn't enjoy big matches, inconsistent, and in terms of current ability, he is just a long way away from being close to a starter for us, and for the price, probably not value for money. I'll tell you what, Kronis Rovas is not quick, 11 pace, 12 acceleration, but if you just want an absolute Greek god of a titan at the back between your defenders, the faster ones, he could be a pretty good option. He's 23, £18 million valuation. Looking at the jumping reach and heading combined with some really nice kind of mentals across the board. Scouts have got him an A for a recommendation. He is inconsistent, which kind of hurts. Question marks over how much potential he has. I guess at 23, you kind of have to assume he's the finished article, and he's not going to develop too much. But if I do just quickly compare him with Jimenez, I mean, here is the head-to-head comparison. He is like a better version of Jimenez. Well, obviously, he's not homegrown at club. He's also 2 years older, and perhaps most importantly, being here compared against a squad player. Yeah, obviously Jimenez is on the bench. I don't really want to spend £18 million on a bench option. There's a guy called Yannick Dick, who I know if I don't click on him, the YouTube comment section will riot. He's not very good. Stacey Ihonvien. I'm definitely not saying that correctly. I assume this is a German last name. Yeah, he's part German, but he is an England international, this guy. 23 years old, will shortly be turning 24. I don't know if it's because he's English that I immediately gravitate to him, because I do feel like having a domestic player kind of bias is nice. This guy plays for Dortmund. He's been a regular starter for them for the last 3 years. He's currently wanted by Bayern Munich, and I actually quite like the look of him. I guess immediately here, the thing to do is compare him against someone like Ngwashi. I mean, when you look at the comparison like this, it looks very 50-50. And then when I go to the overview and compare the polygons, I don't know, Ngwashi just looks way, way better, and £30 million feels like a rip-off. I am going to continue to look through these centre-back options, but I don't know if I'm really going to find anyone new who excites me. Edmundo Cruz, I mean, Mexican centre-back. He has some really nice elements to his game, but his physicals are lacking so much. Admittedly, he is only 21 and 4.1 to £6 million? To be a bit of a squad player, maybe? I don't think he'd really be the starter necessarily that I'm looking for, and then I compare him against Jimenez, and Jimenez is just a better, bigger brother version, isn't he, really, when you look at this? I've gone from thinking I need to improve my centre-back positions, now wondering if I'm gaslighting myself into not improving it at all. I actually think of all the players I've looked at, Kronis Rovas would be the most tempting, and I am wondering if at £18 million he's just worth a punt. He's quite a different profile to other centre-backs I've got, but he's very good with the ball at his feet, and his aerial ability could just be very, very nice. I don't really know why he's got the trait to knocks ball past opponent. Whoever trained that to this guy is a moron. He's happy to be more of a squad player. He might be available for less than his release clause as well. That suddenly tempts me a little bit more. Okay, it turns out that was a lie. I suggested 14 million. They've immediately said, look, pay the release clause, it's 18 million. I'm kind of tempted. If we compare him against Cups, who I was looking at before, though, you can just kind of see that difference in level. But Rovas is only 23. Okay, looks like the right mid position could be sorted. Luis Garcia, that right mid who was a free transfer, waiting on a work permit. So tick that off, assuming that gets approved. That's our new backup right mid. PAOK want Rovas back on loan? Absolutely not. And in terms of negotiations, he wants to be a squad player, which fills me with some optimism. I'll admit, 52,000 for a squad player is a little more than I was hoping he was going to ask for. I'm going to up the loyalty bonus, then try and knock down these wages to £40,000. I might be pushing my luck here. Yeah, maybe I was. Let's try 42,000. He said 48. I'm going to negotiate hard here. 43.5. He has accepted. My thinking with Rovas is we can give him a bit of a trial at some point during the year, playing as that central centre-back. I think at the very least he'll be a good squad player with us having European football to contend with. And even if for whatever reason this is a transfer that doesn't work out, I can't see me selling him for less than 18 million. I think right now I've realistically kind of got 5 players competing for the centre-back positions, and even then someone like Manuel Suarez is probably more of a backup defensive midfielder for us. His lack of aerial ability just scares me a little bit at the back. And I kind of look at our defence. We've got loads of these pacey players. I guess Jimenez is the one exception. Everyone's very good when it comes to their jumping reach, but there's not actually any super strong centre-backs for us. Like, and Washi probably is the most physically capable. And I guess Rovas is just a little bit of a bruiser, especially with that aggression. He's got some great determination. I don't know. I feel like we need a big meaty man, and this man is big. Okay, Rennes is leaving the club, £3.5 million there. And Valentin Diop is also leaving for £5.5 million. A little bit sad about this one. I had really high hopes for Diop. I still feel like he could be a pretty good player, but just with how we play, I don't think he's going to fit into our system. And if I was to train him as a striker, I'm just a little bit scared that it would eat up his current ability. That extra versatility probably would mean he doesn't get much better than this. We've doubled our money in, 2 seasons? I don't think that's too bad. These little fees of kind of 3 million, 5 million, they don't feel like a lot, but I feel like they are all going to add up. Speaking of which, Aston Villa have just made a bid for Rodrigo Samaniego. It's more than what I'd already accepted, so I'll just accept this one as well. Luis Garcia set to join the club. That is a new backup depth option at right mid. I am wondering, should I train him to play centre mid, or maybe even on the left-hand side? Nevertheless, you know what, as a free transfer, I think he fits our profile nicely. Perfectionist personality could be useful for tutoring too. One of the biggest sales we had going on, Ortiz, £7.5 million. I think that is an absolute robbery. This is not a £7.5 million player. Think of all the sales that we initiated last episode. This was the most contentious, but you know what? I just think £8 million is too much for Diarme. Feel like he's the kind of player where I want to sell him whilst he's hot. There is a world in which he develops, and I live to regret this one forever, but I think the only way he will develop playing for me is if I was to loan him out repeatedly, and at that point, will he be into his early 20s, and at that point his value is lower than what it is now? I don't know, maybe one to keep an eye on, the kind of player who could end up scoring against me, but having never played for us, having signed him for less than £1 million, to get £8 million 12 months after getting him in, yeah. Just good money. All these sales are really adding up as well. Our transfer budget now sits at £43 million. So even if we do sign Rovas, there's going to be a lot of money, especially as well if Byrne leaves. If he and Crystal Palace can fresh out terms and get that move sorted quickly, that would be very nice for us, I think, right now. Freiburg have made an offer for Laudrup. I know they've got £60 million they could offer for him. I'm rejecting that anyway. There is no way I'm letting Laudrup go. Okay, another deal for Samaniego. Another £2.6 million in the transfer budget. Shout out to Aston Villa for that one. And with that, I think that is all the permanent transfers that were pending done. There's various loan deals still going on here. And of course, Byrne, the big deal. Is this one going to go through? If it does, transfer budget is going to rocket up to like £100 million. Then I'd probably go wild and pick up 1 or 2 proper big players for the team. On Rovas, by the way, just waiting on a work permit. So this deal is as good as done. And actually, I think for £43,000 a week within our wage structure, he's a pretty good depth option at centre-back. Blake Pearce complaining about a lack of first-team football. I mean, he is going to be the backup to Cardozo this year. And if I was to maybe get in a top-quality centre-mid option, he might even find himself not on the bench. Well, what kind of playing time does he want? The only way I'm getting to Copa America is if I get the playing time we agreed to. I mean, you're listed as an impact sub. Should we just try lowering it to fringe player? Maybe that'll stop him crying. I'll just tell him he's not a first-team player anymore. He didn't like the fact I offered to lower his playing time, even though I've already lowered it mid-meeting. Hopefully he hasn't realised. Okay, last chance saloon for Christian Bendel, going on loan to Sheffield United, a chance to prove himself in the Championship, a level of football where he should be one of the most talented players on the pitch. Hoping he can start to fulfil this potential, but I am losing hope. To be honest, even if he has like a really good loan spell, I probably will be looking to sell him next summer anyway. Also, pre-season, we're going around Singapore for our kind of pre-season. We're taking on Singapore Cricket Club, which I'll be honest, when your key man is Sim Andy, and you're a cricket club, like, yeah, if we don't get to double figures, I think this is a failure. In fact, I go one better. If we don't get a cricket score, maybe we should do better. Maybe we should play them at cricket instead of football. You know, we've really made it as a football team when we're going on an East Asia football tour. Burn! Byrne, what are you doing? He's turned down the move to Crystal Palace. I was counting the money. Also, Cardozo's injured with a hip injury. He could be out for ages. I mean, we'll send him to a specialist, but 2 to 3 months out. I mean, the positive is that probably means he's not leaving this transfer window because he's not going to be fit for months. Obviously, the not so good news is I no longer have the club captain to start the season. Why does Graham Byrne keep turning down everyone? Should we ask his agent about the market interest? Can Al Nassr make a bid? They can definitely afford his wage demands. I'll offer him out for the 55 million we accept from Crystal Palace. I hope we get some nibbles. If the Rovas deal goes through at 18 million pounds, like there's still quite a lot of money left over. There's still like 27 million. I think this season I am going to give Zidane Zidi a better shot in the first team. Every time I look at this guy in his polygon, I just think you should be good enough to play for me. And yet he's been out on loan the last 2 years, having struggled initially. I feel like this might be the season I persevere with him. He would definitely get more opportunities this year because we're in European football, so we're going to have to rotate, with midweek games. You know what? Welcome back to the first team, Ziddy. I'm not sure what to do with Tuta. I kind of feel like Tuta needs to play football, so if I can get him a loan move to somewhere else, ideally in England so he gets homegrown in nation, that would be ideal. We're going to exclude overseas clubs here with this loaning out. I need him in England just for the homegrown in nation. The thing with Tuta is he's already got perfectionist personality and he's already got like a very good starting polygon. So while sometimes it's nice to really be able to control the development of your players and set up their training, in his instance, he's actually quite nicely poised to just go out and load and continue to improve generally. Another man who had a really good loan spell last year was Lasho. This guy's 19. He is absolutely quality. I would love to get him back on loan in the Championship again. And to be fair, there's a couple more under-21 players like Vukajilovic who should probably also just be out on loan in England somewhere. Silva as well, I said I wanted to get a loan move for. Oh, right, let's get some loan moves going, shall we? David Addons as well, mate. You need a loan. Let's see what we can do for you. If the players I've just offered out don't get loans, it will be a little bit concerning. They're all kind of good enough that I could maybe recall them to the first team. I did recently ask for a new affiliate last season, and we were given Chester in League 2. Unfortunately, I would really like kind of a Championship affiliate. I feel like I could make a Championship team pretty stacked. The players I'm currently trying to loan out probably aren't willing to go down to the 4th tier of England. We can only beat Singapore Cricket Club 8-0. We're washed. The season's over, basically. Kronis Rovas. Welcome to Lewis FC. You know what? The Greek god or something. What was that commentary that Drury did that time when Mananakis scored for Roma? We can come up with some beautiful poetic commentary when this guy scores a great goal for us in the Champions League. I do really like the look of him. He's going to be a great little squad player. I'll probably be half tempted to give him a start to begin the year, just right in the heart of our defence and see how he fares too. Oliver was our kind of heart of the defence, central defender last year, and whilst obviously Rovas is not as quick, you kind of look across the board at both the mentals and the technicals. He's bloody big, isn't he, Rovas? He's going to be great. I feel like every defence needs a nutter. He could be our nutter. Admittedly, right, 15 aggression, 16... He's not actually that angry, is he? Only 13 bravery. We'll work on it. Also, I don't agree with the current ability and potential ability ratings here. They are wrong. No one's made a bid for Byrne. That is concerning. If the season started tomorrow, I think this would be our team. We'd have Minabres in goal. I think I would start Rovas, at least to start the year, at centre-back. If it doesn't work out, I guess the nice thing is that squad player status wouldn't mean that Ingwashi drops down to the bench. But again, another player who's happy to be a squad player. I definitely feel like when it comes to our centre-backs, we've got all these players who I've not really promised first-team kind of status to, with the exception of Grommen, who's nailed on anyway. And actually just having a little bit of versatility with who we can pick without jeopardising playing time happiness is probably quite a nice spot to be in. Have just realised the striking positions haven't been upgraded properly. Laudrup will be starting alongside Kakayo. Byrne is still here, though. And that does make me a little bit angry. I think currently it would be Aguiar that moves off the bench and Ziddy comes in to be on the bench. I think he just has to be. In an ideal world, though, we sell Byrne and then, well, Aguiar can just be a super sub. Which with his physicals, actually, I think he could be a really good player to throw on against tiring defences. Also, Luis Garcia has arrived here. He's not yet naturally a right mid, so we'll train him there first. I don't feel like I've really made enough of this guy. You know what? Just for a cheap free transfer, I think he fits what we needed quite nicely. First team squad is suddenly up to 24 players as well. Maybe things aren't as bad as I think they are. I actually feel like our overall balance is quite nice all of a sudden. I guess the question becomes, with £27 million in transfer budget remaining, what should I spend it on? Also, we're over budget again. Let me rejig it. With £21 million of transfer budget, what could I spend it on? I was thinking about going in for Talal Sadiq, the left midfielder guy we looked at last episode. He's picked up an injury, a fractured metatarsal, and is out for 2 months. I'm pretty sure a metatarsal is a bone in your foot. I think it's in your toe. I remember the word metatarsal from once, years ago when I was a little kid, when Rooney broke his metatarsal. And it was like the big breaking news. Will he be back for the Euros or not? Or was it a World Cup? I can't remember which it was. I almost feel like at this point, I want to just try and find some good value buys. Let's put a value at most £10 million, age at most 23. What is out there? I mean, in terms of players I've got scouted, there's lots of players rated as A's here. Sergio Cohen is a right mid. He's a free agent. He's not very good, but free agents are tempting. He's not good enough, though, is he? Justin Wright, transfer listed by Norwich to ease FFP issues. He's 17 with 5-star potential. English and worth 6.4 million. I mean, I'll tell you what, it's not cheap, but considering we've got this kind of money, I don't even really hate a deal like this. It's just a low, well, I was going to say a low-risk punt. Let's be real. I mean, it's £6 million. It's not necessarily low risk, but he could improve a lot. It's one of those ones where it probably won't work out, but if it does, I'll look like a genius. I'm doing it. £6 million, why not? There's another player here with 5-star potential from Norwich City as well. Again, valued at 6.8 million, presumably listed to ease their concerns. This guy at 17 is actually really, really good for 6.8 million. Should we just help Norwich pass their FFP whilst just stripping apart their academy? Does this make me a bad person if I just steal all of Norwich's youngsters? Probably. I don't care. I'm going to lower the age to age at most 19. Let's see if there's any more Norwich players that show up. I assume there probably isn't. But there is this guy, NDIA. Are you really playing a Football Manager save game if you don't sign a man called NDIA? He plays as a Diambars. He's a centre mid. I would play him at centre back, I'm going to be honest. But he looks wild. He's wanted by Barcelona and Napoli. He's worth less than £1 million. Right, sign him up. The fact that I've spent basically most of last episode and some of this episode clearing out the under-21s and I'm now replenishing it, kind of the irony of that is not lost on me. But look, we all have our strange addictions. Mine is signing Wonder Kids in Football Manager. I'm going to be honest, I don't even think it's that weird. Takayuki Nakano of Gamba Osaka. I mean, 18 years old. He is about to turn 19. He's another very, very good centre mid, isn't he? Should we sign him up? You know, how much? How much do they want? 3.4 to 6.8. I think we sign him up. He looks great. Already a League One quality player, Premier League potential. I love it. Is this a sensible use of the remainder of my transfer budget? Maybe not. I don't care, though. Okay, these 4 players will cost me potentially 17.25 million. I can sign one more player for 4 million. I could do it. Whether or not I should do it is maybe a slightly different question. Eddie Forsyth here. Transfer listed by Hibs. Oh no, loan listed by Hibs. Already has 2 caps and 2 goals for Scotland. He's only 19. I mean, if Eddie Forsyth's valuation is on the lower side of those estimates, I'd be tempted. I'll tell you what, 800,000 to 9.8 million is quite a big range, isn't it, when you're trying to work out how much a player is worth. I've suggested an offer. They've asked for a not small quantity of money in instalments. I'll tell you what, I'll give you 2.5 million up front, 2.5 million over 3 years. And if he makes 50 league game appearances for me, I'll give you another 2.5 million. That is a very fair deal. It's £5 million now, and if he breaks into the first team and actually is a useful player for us, we give them another 2.5 million. I think those 5 deals, if we do them, are actually a quite good use of my free will and my, well, remaining transfer budget. I'm going to work on the assumption that with all these players, it's going to be relatively easy to get their contracts negotiated. I think of all the players we've looked at, Mark May, I like the most. He is listed as Norwich's hot prospect as well. The 17-year-old looks great. Does want a playing time pathway into the squad as a squad player in the next 3 years. He locked that in as well. I kind of admire the ambition. I'm going to attempt to lock in an optional contract extension of 3 years. I am going to just try and give him the longest deal possible. I'll up as well the initial wages that he's asking for. I feel like it's probably a small price to pay to lock him down on a 6-year deal versus a 3-year deal to up the wages by just a few £1,000s. With all these youngsters, I am going to remove and exclude the yearly wage rise, but I am desperately hoping that I can get them all with the optional contract extension added and locked in. Let's make sure I don't misclick. I want it non-negotiable, not removing and excluding it. Okay, Eddie Forsyth, the Scottish international, also wanted me to lock a playing time pathway into the first team. Again, I kind of respect the ambition. His wage demands are a little on the larger side, but then again, he is a Scottish international. I don't love having these wage after reaching league game clauses, but ultimately, if he plays 15 games for us, he probably should be on about £30,000 as a Premier League striker. Now, I hadn't received a reply on NDIA, but Napoli have made an offer for him as well, and I actually think of all these players that we've looked at, he probably represents the best value for money. So I'm going to try and outbid Napoli. They've accepted a bid of just shy of £1 million. I want to try and get this deal done quickly before Napoli and Barcelona sweep in. Okay, let's try and get this deal for NDIA done. He wants £13,000 immediately. I'll be honest, given his quality, I'm kind of tempted to just throw a big sack of money at him now, try and get him to sign this deal and say, you know, that my client thinks this is a very acceptable deal before Barcelona or Napoli come in. So yeah, I'm going to throw a load of money at him here, suggest it. Didn't get the very acceptable line out of his agent. I'm going to up the loyalty bonus. I feel like it's probably worth overpaying for NDIA here. I really, really think this guy, as a centre-back, could be a sensational little player. He is turning 20 kind of soon, but for less than £1 million, we're not going to get a better player than this, are we? Let's up these bits a little bit. Obviously, this is going to make the deal significantly more expensive than the less than £1 million I initially kind of mentioned. But I think it's probably just a small price to pay. Admittedly, sometimes getting that line of my client thinks this is a very acceptable offer is tricky. I have got it here. If you get this line from a player's agent, it means no matter what any other team offers, he is going to sign for you. Now, I'll be honest, £25,000 a week for this guy is not cheap. Within the framework of our kind of wage structure, maybe not the best use of money, but look, less than £1 million for this guy. This is the kind of player who could be worth £20 million in 2 years, and paying an extra £10,000 a week now would undoubtedly be worth it. He's also instantly been granted a work permit. I've never seen a work permit get granted within an hour. Well, you know what? Let's confirm that deal now. Sorry to Barcelona, Botafogo and Spezia. What a mix of interested clubs. He is our man. I do feel like with this Burn interest kind of fizzling out, signing these youngsters might just be me done for the transfer window, which I don't necessarily think that's the worst thing in the world. I mean, with us buying our stadium and upgrading the facilities, our overall balance isn't the most positive it's ever been. And when I kind of look across our first team and the squad that we've got, outside of Burn, there's not really anyone who I feel like, when I look at their value, would be, well, tempting to sell. I feel like a lot of our players' values are maybe a little lower than they should be, purely because of our club reputation. Okay, very happy about this one. Mark May joining the club. £7 million for this guy is not cheap. But for an English prospect who's 17 years old and looks absolutely great, I think it's a really, really good bit of business. Our scouts like him a hell of a lot. I hope they're right. The man he was scouted by is Matthew Green, our chief scout who has outstanding judging player potential. If he's wrong about it, blame Matt. And let's make it a duo of players. Justin Wright, 17 years old, also being snapped up from Norwich City. Norwich, you are welcome. I say that. If these two players end up being busts, I've basically given them £12 million to get out of FFP issues and scam me. Of all the deals we've got going on, I think this Eddie Forsyth one might be a big-ish gamble. Is it really, though? I feel like £7 million on this guy is sensible. You know what? I think it's I'm gonna gaslight myself into thinking all these signings I'm making are good deals. You can let me know what you think of all these different youngsters we've picked up. There's gonna be 5 of them we land in the end. The nice thing about them all is they're all coming in happy to be breakthrough prospects. So unlike past years where maybe to entice wonder kids in, I've had to promise them a significant squad status, that's going to be a lot less of a thing now. All these players we're signing aren't really going to be in the first team, so the squad of 24 you see here is kind of what you see and what we're going to get for the coming year. But I look at it, and I don't think it needs change for change's sake. There is no one with a contract expiring at the end of this coming season. Everyone, in fact, in the first team is contracted for the next 2 seasons. That's both a blessing, because they're committed to the club, but it would mean if I ever wanted to move any of them on against their will, that could be a bit more tricky. Despite all the dealings we've made, I hate to say it, we're not favourites to win the Premier League, but we're not the favourites to go down either. That title goes to Wrexham. We play them away from home in the first league game of the season, which will be in tomorrow's episode. Lachaud, by the way, heading on loan to Bristol City, who were of course relegated from the Premier League. I've been told he will be an important player for them in the Championship. I hope they keep their word. He needs game time, but if he can reach this potential, he could be incredible. Squad numbers have come around. I'm going to try and do them properly, because I know some of you get very cross when I auto number. I will say though, in terms of doing squad numbering with our system, it's far from a conventional system to know who should get what number. I've done the numbers. I know someone's going to be unhappy still. I've tried. I really did try. I spent 5 million minutes in silence concentrating. Burns injured. Please don't be an injury, which means I can't sell you. He's out for 3 to 4 weeks. Well, he's not going to be sold before the start of the season now, is he? Speaking of which, you've only got 1 game left of pre-season, and then we take on Man City on the 5th of August. I'm actually looking at this friendly thinking, this is too close to that game in the Community Shield. I'm going to curtail pre-season with that 3-1 win over Monaco. I feel like that's a good result as we head into the Champions League. We've only got, what, a week until we take on Man City. So I think we're done in terms of business right now. If we can get this Nakano deal wrapped up, yeah, I think I'm happy. I did wonder if we might do a bit more wheeling and dealing with players, but outside of Jimenez, there wasn't really anyone getting a load of bids. Nakano has been granted his work permit on appeal, so we can accept this deal. And you know what? Outside of various loanings that I'm going to do, I think, for these players in our under-21s, I think we're just done now. First team squad of 24, I think a quite nicely balanced squad. Maybe would have liked to have signed 1 or 2 new super key important players. But I do feel like in Minambres we've got a goalie who could potentially be the goalie for the rest of the save game for us. And whilst my staff, for whatever reason, absolutely hate Rovas, I actually think as a centre-back who can be a bit of an enforcer, a bit of a different player compared to what else we've had in the team, he's a really, really good little option. But you can let me know what you think of this guy. I think for 18 million, it's a smart deal. With all those recent transfers confirmed of the various youngsters, there's not a lot of transfer budget left, but yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good. We'll find out tomorrow, won't we? We're going to be taking on one of the favourites for the title. Admittedly, it's in the Community Shield. And then we're going to take on one of the favourites for the drop on the road. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a bit of a mixed affair, I think, when it comes to the games next time out. We will end things today by just taking a little peek at the season preview where we are predicted to be in 12th place, which feels incredibly harsh, and I was hoping we might be a little bit higher. Then again, the board expectation for this year, I was going to say, is only a top half finish. That actually might be a little bit tricky, especially with European football to juggle. Admittedly, when it comes to the Champions League, they want us to get to the Champions League proper, which we are guaranteed to reach. So someone should probably let them know that's how the Champions League works. Anyway, folks, hope you enjoyed today's transfer special. I know that the dealings I've done are going to be a bit polarising. People are going to feel like I've just wasted a load of money by signing more youngsters. But ultimately, I think it's about investing for the future. 2 of the players we've picked up are now listed as key players in the under-21s panel here. And ultimately, with the current first team, the lack of interest in players that I was willing to sell, we just kind of found ourselves in a spot where I feel like we didn't really need to overhaul the team this summer. Whether or not that proves to be a mistake, yeah, we will find out over the next 12 months. Appreciate you guys watching so much as always. If you have enjoyed, go down below, leave a like. We kick off the season tomorrow. I'll see you guys then. It is me, Jack, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.